Hey there gamers, DreamcastGuy here. Today we're talking about console gaming because some new numbers came out yesterday that basically say that console gaming just in general is dead. The industry is the smallest it has ever been in 30 years, and we're going to take a look at the digits. And I want to be just saying this right up front. I feel like the reason for console gaming being in such a bad spot, it's obvious. We all know what the heck is up. You know, when you bought a console in the 80s or the 90s or something, right? You'd get something and it was cheap. Console gaming used to be the budget gaming option. Your PlayStation would start out pretty cheap and it'd get a bunch of different discounts. If you were buying a PlayStation 2 or a Nintendo 64, a lot of times, not only were the consoles getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, but there were discount games all over the place. You used to find $10 stuff. And yeah, maybe those games would suck. It'd be some crappy Looney Tunes game or something, but you'd also find deep discounts on Doom or Wolfenstein or whatever, right? Games got cheaper. Consoles got cheaper. Controllers got to be practically free. Whereas now, everybody, especially in this industry, considers like a console to be an investment. You're investing in the future of gaming. You got to buy, oh, you have a PS5. Well, now you got to buy a PS5 disc drive. Now you need a PS5 Pro. Oh, you've got the Xbox Series X. Do you have the expansion port? Do you have years of Game Pass? I feel like this goes beyond just the price increases. We all know consoles are getting more and more and more expensive. There's also been a lot of console shortages, especially during lockdowns and stuff. But I feel like the big hurdle a lot of people are having is this is a Switch Lite. I think I got this for $100. I feel like a lot of people are having that problem now where they're like, okay, this thing could play games. This thing is fun enough. This thing is decent. What makes something that's 10 times the price 10 times better? These costs are getting to be a cost-benefit analysis that I think a lot of people just don't want to make. But let's take a look at the numbers because honestly, they are bad. Hi, hope you're having a great day. And if you could, please give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Now, I'm serious. I am curious. I want to know. I'm going to read the comments on this video because I want to hear what you guys think. But here's the thing. Video game hardware sales in US, which is typically in November, this is the peak Christmas time. Everybody in the United States, this is when you buy stuff for Black Friday. This is when you get your deep discounts. This is when you have time to buy it and wrap it before the kiddos get to it, right? This was the lowest hardware sales since 1995. Legitimately, there has not been hardware sales this low in 30 years. That is a mind-blowing number. This record low makes sense given that at this point, this is a lump sum. This is all consoles combined. And you could say, okay, well, Xbox is completely dead. Typically, there would be, something in there. There'd be 3 pieces of the pie. At this point, the pie is just missing a chunk of it. But the PS5, obviously, the PS5 is still selling the highest of the consoles, but even then, it's in its 5th year. People that want a PlayStation 5 at this point probably already had it 2 years ago at minimum, right? It's also the fact that, honestly, there hasn't been that many big PS5 exclusives. I do think that part of what really helped the momentum of the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 3 was the waves of exclusives every single year and the price drops. And this time, we essentially have neither of those. Seems like a bad business proposition. But what's interesting is that in the sales report, it even says that basically Nintendo is making less money than their year prior as well, which is weird. Now you could say, oh, it's that last year everybody was buying cheap Nintendo Switches. Now this year they're not buying expensive Nintendo Switch 2. But it is weird that just in general, people can't afford or just aren't getting Switch 2 hardware. It had a decent launch, but after that, people just stopped buying it. The Switch 2 is the fastest selling console of all time. It did, and then after that huge peak, it's still kind of dipping down. I think the elephant in the room is the price increases of people having less disposable income for luxuries with inflation is big enough effect in this case. Very surprised to be given Switch 2 was on sale for a good period of time. And everybody's kind of talking about that. This chart, I think, really illustrates it. This is the cost of consoles over time, and this is the sales of consoles over time. So you can see there is an inverse correlation. As prices go up, look at this. Even the lowest end consoles are $400 now, right? So it's like, look at this. It's just ridiculous watching the chart go up and up and up, and sales go down and down and down. Look at that. It's interesting. Look how cheap some of these systems got. You can see each of these generational price cuts. Look at it. There was a time when the average console cost $125, and now we are at 3 times the cost. My lordy. I like this tweet by Luke Stevens. Yeah, I'm kind of seeing a pattern here. Now, I actually saw Spawnwave did a video talking about this, and I saw his comment section, and a lot of people were basically discussing that they just can't afford it. In this economy, rent and groceries come first. Xbox, so you won't buy our consoles? Let's jack up the price. With inflation, rent, food, bills rising, expensive consoles are an easy delay. It's less about gaming demand and more about economic pressure on disposable income. I personally cannot afford it anymore. Thank goodness I have a giant gaming backlog. I have heard this from so many people in my personal life. I've had so many friends that this year legitimately said they cannot afford to give Christmas gifts. And straight up, you got to think about it. What amount of the entire gaming industry is that? Gifting your friend a new controller, gifting your friend a new game. And now, think about the fact that there are $200 controllers now. $200 controller. The PlayStation Edge controller is $200. There's an Epic Ultra Elite Xbox controller that is $200. That to me, even if it's optional, even if people don't have to buy it, I feel like it is a signal that the manufacturers of this stuff are just trying to essentially figure out what is the maximum amount you're willing to pay for a product. And I think they're finally learning that limit. But there's another part of this. There is an extreme RAM shortage, and there's about to be a lot more of it. NVIDIA is reportedly planning to cut the production of its GeForce RTX 50 series. So this is obviously a graphics card. There has been a huge RAM shortage, and now there's a bunch of graphics card. Essentially what's happening is people are talking about the fact that there have been leaks that these AI companies are not just buying every piece of RAM, every graphics card, every scrap of raw tech in the world to put into their massive server farms to generate pictures of Mickey Mouse smoking weed and doing 9/11. The thing is that this is beyond that. We're getting to a point now where this is actually taking away from actual console manufacturing. A lot of people are talking about the fact that console prices are going to go up again next year because they're now having to bid against AI trillion-dollar companies. When PlayStation wants to make a bunch more consoles, they're no longer just bidding against other people trying to get those chips. They're competing against chip manufacturers that have trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars and government contracts and stuff. And I just don't think Sony's going to be able to do that without dramatically increasing the price, which people can already barely afford a freaking PlayStation 5. You can't afford it if it's going to be nearly $1,000. You're no longer allowed to enjoy building your own PC in the year 2025. But don't worry about it. Your sacrifice will allow AI data centers to replace you entirely. They'll even dry up your local water supply and poison it, double your electricity bill. A lot of people are talking about this. There's a lot of these AI factories are bad for local water supplies. A lot of people are just talking about the fact that it's wild that everything is completely trying to bet everything on this. Like, everybody is basically saying, hey, let's make all games with AI. Let's make all consoles with AI. Let's make everything, right? Not really considering the fact that what if nobody can afford the tech you make? I am concerned about this, I'll be honest. For selfish reasons. I have always played consoles, and I play way more PC gaming now, but I'm still in the spot where I like console gaming. I liked this all-in-one, easily accessible gaming experiences. I've seen people say that this is an effort to essentially push everybody into cloud gaming, that there won't be physical hardware soon, that everything is just going to be something streamed to your phone. There will no longer be an actual device you sit down in front of. And I'll be honest, I really don't want that. I really do not. That all digital future, hell no. Especially when it comes to the fact that not only will we not have discs, everything you have is just in like an iCloud account. Hell no. But seriously, what are your thoughts? Why do you think there is such a shortage of sales worldwide? Apparently, as bad as these numbers are in America, apparently they're even worse in Europe. Console gaming isn't dead because we ran out of games. It's dead because we ran out of money. Thanks so much for watching this. If you could, please give this video a like and subscribe if you haven't already. And please keep dreaming. You know, it's kind of weird to think about the fact that Sony admits that PlayStation is very much being held up by, or Sony is being very much held up by PlayStation. What happens when PlayStation stops selling? I think Sony just gets the axe.
Thanks so much for watching that video. If you want to see something else, you can always click this link to see what I put up last, or, subscribe and see what's coming up next. Also, I promise that whatever I do, it'll try not to suck.